Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Marketing Monday. I'm so excited because today I have a very special guest. As you are coming on in, I want you to go ahead and say hello, good afternoon. How you doing? Okay, let us know exactly where you are viewing from. And then as you are viewing, if you are watching us live, let us know. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and put hashtag replay and then tag a friend that you know is in this group that needs to hear this information because I'm excited because many of you have been asking us, do we do audiobooks? And now we do. And we're going to talk about Beyond the Book Media producing audiobooks for your brand, but also why you actually need an audiobook and how you are outdated. Okay. If you do not have some sort of audio, introducing yourself to the world. So we have a few of y'all coming on in. Let us know in the comments where you are from, what your book is about, or what your book is going to be about. And let us also know if you're interested in having an audiobook or if you have one. Yeah, let us know in the comments. And as we are getting started, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest. Let me make sure that we are good. Let me introduce our guest. Okay, perfect. All right, so we have Von Fahey. Did I say it right correctly this time? I always mess it
Almost,
up. What is
almost. It's Foy, like toy with
Foy?
an F. It looks like
Okay.
Fahey.
I'm not gonna mess that up anymore. All right. So we have Von Foy. Okay. And he is the renowned voice brander, audio engineer, educator, and author. Von Foy expands the impact of influencers through the power of their voice. As a saxophonist with 3 decades of experience playing to the soul, Von understands the power of sound to create an audio experience that imparts wisdom and inspires. Today, Vine is a trailblazer supporting thought leaders and authors to capture and share the energy of their voice, creating their audiobooks virtually from their home. He is the founder and CEO of Audio Newborn Productions, LLC, that encompasses the technology and experience so your voice is heard. In addition to that, Vaughn has joined the Beyond the Book Media team to provide direction, consultation, and production of your next audio book. So I'm so excited. If y'all in the comments, can y'all just say welcome Vine in the comments so that he can feel welcome. Welcome to the Beyond the Book of Media team. We are so excited as we are expanding. Now, I know I introduced Vaughn, but I did not introduce myself because I don't want to make the assumption that you guys know who I am, okay? So
Yeah.
my name is Chanel E. Martin, and I am the founder of Beyond the Book Media and the CEO of Beyond the Book Media. And one of the things that we do at Beyond the Book Media is we help you write, publish, and market your nonfiction books. So we have a focus on helping nonfiction books expand their brand with a published book. Okay. And we have worked with a variety of authors, in fact, thousands of authors over the past 3 years. We have getting close to 100 publishing projects that book publishing projects that we've worked with, and then we've helped hundreds of you guys write your books in 7 to 21 days, and then thousands of you have participated in our challenges, free writing challenges, and now our boot camps. So we wanted to bring Vaughn on as he is working with us to make sure that you guys have an audiobook. And before we get into our questions, and if you guys have questions, go ahead and drop them in because I'm excited about where this conversation is going to go for the next 30, 45 minutes. But Vaughn, is there anything you want to mention before I jump right on in?
Wow. Yeah. No. Glad to be a part of the team. I think I agree with you. It is absolutely important that your voice of your book gets out there. And I know we're going to dive in and talk about it, but I'm just glad to be a part of this Beyond the Book Media team because we're getting out your message. Your message, either your method or your memoir, is getting out there, and we want to continue to be a part of that. So. glad to be here.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Vaughn. Look, they said, welcome, Vaughn.
Right.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Margot says, hello and welcome. All right. So I want to know in the comments, how many published authors do we have? Either if you're watching this live or you're watching the replay, I want you to put, I'm a published author, just so that we can gauge where you are and where you are in your process. So if you are a published author, meaning your book is already published, let us know. If you're like, I'm working on it, you can put I'm working on it, and we're gonna have something talk directly to you on this afternoon. So let me just jump right into this conversation, so I don't want to hold you too long. My first question for you, Vaughn, is, can you discuss how audiobooks can be used to leverage marketing for your book? Now, because some of you are like, well, what do I need an audiobook? I'm gonna be honest, Vaughn, real quick. I know we're about to get into marketing, but listen, if it ain't an audiobook attached to it, like, I'm probably not at this stage in the game. I am not about to listen to it. I just don't have the attention span. I have books. So let's see. It's a book. I can't even find it. I got a book that I've been trying to read, and it's a great book, and I need the book. And I'm just about to be like, look, because someone gave me the physical book. I'm like, ooh, this time I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna get my coffee. I'm gonna read. It ain't happening. All right. So for those of you who have written books, because you're brands, you're entrepreneurs, right? You want to make more. What do we say? We say impact, influence, and income in your brand. So let's talk about how audiobooks can help you market your book and your brand.
Awesome, great question. You hit it right on. So, like, we don't really. Um, you need the book. First of all, I'll start off saying you need the written book because the audiobook is an audio version of your written book. So, right off the jump, audiobooks aren't replacing books. You need to write the book. You got to go through the process. You got to dig in there, dig out, get it edited, make it sound formatted. You have to do that. So, you have to have a written book. Audiobook is just a audio version of your written book. So, want to make sure that you get that straightened out. Something came to me this morning. Well, God dropped it this morning, and it was like, okay, the Bible is the number one bestseller in the world, right? It's the most popular. How did God market his book? He marketed through the voice. I was like, wait a minute. It's through the either preaching, because it goes, faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. And how can they hear unless someone be sent? So it is all about the voice. And I was like, okay, whoa, Lord, you about to jump off on that. But so the Bible is even marketed by someone hearing someone talking, preaching, teaching about it or something. It could be on TV, it could be on Clubhouse, it can be on the radio, and then we're going to go and then read the Bible, study the Bible, but it's still written, things are there. So when it comes to marketing your voice, we have to first understand the power of our voice. We're here on this, even though we're on video. Voice is audio is the basis. You can have 8K video, it can be perfect picture. I was talking earlier about the lighting. My lighting seems real dull and dim, but yours is all great and vibrant. But if our audio, if you couldn't hear me, if it was distorted or if it was too low, or if it, you would not get the message about what's coming across. So our voice is most important, and our voice is the most connecting part of us. Um, it's not only that the voice is our brand, it's actually that we are the brand of our voice. When people hear our voice, then they put a face with your voice. And with audiobooks, the reason why it's how you leverage marketing with audiobooks is you're using your voice. I always have this thing: send out a free chapter of your book. If you're published already, send out a free chapter of your audio, you reading your book in audio, like the first chapter of your book, because people, you have a captivated audience. You're in their earbuds, you're in their playlist. And when they're listening to you for even 10 seconds, it's either like, even on here, the first 10 seconds, and you probably see my face, and before you heard me speak, you're trying like, what does he sound like? What is he, what's he about to say? So in the first 10, 20 seconds of what I'm saying, you're either going to want to turn me off, or you're going to keep listening to what I have to say. And that's the same thing with your book. Even though it's written, people will not read. You can give them a free written chapter, they're not going to read it. You can give them a free book, they may or may not read it, like Chanel was just saying. But if I send you an audio clip, you're going to listen to the audio clip, and in the first 10 seconds, either you're going to continue listening to it or you're going to turn it off, because our ears are tuned to the voice. So you want to use that as the marketing leverage. One little statistic, or a couple of statistics: 1 out of every 5 readers in the US are audiobook only readers. I'm one of those. And so already, when you've written the book, 20% of your market, a minimum 20% of your market, and that was a 2 years ago statistic, is probably up to 25-30% now. But if you've written your book, you're missing 20% of your market already. That is continually growing. Audiobooks are the fastest growing segment of the publishing industry, growing by 25% every year, and it's predicted to do so for the rest of the decade. In sales, it's growing. So it is the biggest growing part of it, way past ebooks, way past printed books. You still got to print the book, you still got to write the book, but audiobooks is how people are consuming. So you want to use that to leverage. I hope I answered the question in there.
That was really good. So with the fact that not only are you canceling out 25%, and I believe if we were to survey that, with the rise of the pandemic and everybody, with every, you can literally stream any and everything. Um it's probably about 30%.
Yeah.
So you have 30% of people will never read your book, will never buy it, will never know your impact, will never fully be able to connect with your brand because you don't have an audiobook. And then you also have the other 70%, right? Who will read a physical book, right? But we're probably leaning towards audiobooks. I like to have physical books, so I'm glad we talked about having both, because I like to have the physical book for reference and making notes and different things of that nature. So I typically buy both. If I have the
Mhm.
audiobook version and I really like it, I get both. And so when you even think about that, Vaughn, that's a way to increase your average order value
Absolutely.
by, right? And that's an easy increase. Wouldn't you agree? Like, for you to be able to, okay, I'm going to bundle, I'm going to give you the audiobook and the published book. So now instead of selling a $15 to $20 book, now you're able to sell something for $40, and you've doubled how
Yes.
much money you can make just from that one book. What do you say about that?
Absolutely. Audiobooks, your voice helps the sales of all your physical books and both. Bundling it is a big thing now. Again, sending out that chapter to someone, um, even as a pre-launch or even as a relaunch. Hey, everybody, my I had my book published. I'm relaunching it. I'm sending you the first chapter. When they listen to the first chapter, they're going to want to listen to the other 20 or 15 or however many it is. And for those that read, or like yourself, I do the same thing. It's like I like to have both, because I like to dog ear or highlight or write in the margins. It sells both of them, because while I can't stop and read, here's the thing: with audiobooks are passive, or audio is passive. I could be working out, kitchen, commuting, doing whatever while I'm listening to an audiobook, so I can consume. When I have to stop to read, I have to stop to read. I can't drive. I can't do anything else, but I have to stop to read the book. So that takes up time. Same thing with video. Video and physical books are active, where listening is passive, because you can do 10 other things at the same time, but still consume the content. And to your point, you can go back, like, okay, well, I'm getting ready to drive to wherever. I'm going to listen to chapter 5, but when I get back home, I'm going to highlight or reread back, my notes that I want to refer to, because it's always a reference. Same thing with anything written, is always a reference point.
That's really good. So hopefully you guys are at least opening up your mind to the fact that, like, you probably need both. Just like I feel like there was definitely a time before people were doing ebooks. So now it was like you just had a physical book, and then now you automatically know that you're gonna have a physical book and you're gonna have an ebook. And then now it's like, okay, now we're gonna have an audiobook as well. Margot, we will answer your question at the end, but that's a good question. So we'll be making sure to answer, how do you make an audiobook? All right. So I have another question for you, Vaughn. And you kind of touched on it, but I didn't know if there was anything else that you wanted to share. Uh, but in this particular subject, but is there anything that you want to share about the impact audio is having on the book industry? Like, how would you say someone as a brand, how they could really leverage that based on the industry and where it's moving to?
Sure. Perfect example, again, of the power of your voice and the power of audio. Clubhouse. I mean, that's how I, found you. You got the, KBN is the largest growing. It's the largest, Christian business network on there. Clubhouse is all audio. The blow up of Clubhouse, the blow up of podcast. It's all for the same reason. It's kind of going back to, like if you want to think about it, radio. When it was only radio before TV. And before radio, it was just voice. You had to go to a meeting, or you want to go back to Bible days and all. Before there was anything like that, everything was about the voice, and it's kind of going back to the importance and the relevance of the voice. You said, like, what's the impact that audio is having on the industry is, again, that kind of passive, active thing. People are just consuming more information passively because of the way our schedules go, the way our time goes, or our traveling. Everything about our society currently, it's pushing. Like I gave the statistics earlier that one out of we think it's probably 30% now of people that listen to the voice. But think about how many times I'm on Clubhouse every morning. I'm in California, and I'm on Clubhouse every morning at 5 a.m. for me to make sure that I'm on KBN or listening to whatever else it is. And the explosion of podcasts. If I'm not listening to an audiobook, I'm listening to a podcast because I'm consuming information. That's where we're at right now. So the impact of audio overall, there is video. You need video for like this, like streaming. You need video for doing lives. You need video for YouTube and things like that. But still, at the basis of everything, audio is big, because when you're not able to watch or read, we immediately, the default now is, what can I listen to fill in the gaps and fill in the time. So the impact is major. It keeps growing. Like I said, sales keep growing in audiobooks just by 25% every year, and it's predicted to keep doing so because of just our lifestyle, and just where we're at in this media age, audio media age. So it's moving forward in that realm.
Well, I want to ask, thank you, Vaughn. That was so good. So
Hmm.
you guys are like, okay, wait a minute. I'm trying to be cutting edge, and beyond the book, we take you beyond the book, okay? Because we want to be at the forefront. We don't want to be left behind. I want to ask anyone in the comments, those of you who are watching, and whether you're watching live or the replay, do you listen to audiobooks? Like, what's your Audible list looking like, right? I think, I'm interested if you could comment below. We can kind of gauge and see, like, okay. And then, do you have a preference? I know there are some of you like, I still like the pages of a good book, right? There are
Hmm.
some of you, but would you listen to an audiobook, or if you wanted to get a preview of what an author, what the author is saying, would you want that, right? So it's just, okay. So we have, I love audiobooks. With someone else that said, yes, I do. Let me see. I can't, StreamYard makes it so we can't see the, I'm about to go look at it
The names. Hmm.
on Facebook. Yeah, they make it so we can't see the name. So we have, I love audiobooks. Let me go look at this. Here we go. All right. Okay. So we have Cassandra says, I love audiobooks. Tiffany said, yes, I do. Phyllis says, yes, I do. Shantae says, I love audiobooks. I also listen to audiobooks when I'm reading the physical book.
Hmm.
Exactly. Cassandra says, I prefer an audiobook, especially since I stay on the go. Lisa said, I struggle with audiobooks. Brianna says, I still have books on my Audible that I haven't listened to. Listen, I got books on my Audible that I haven't listened to, but which one you think I'm going to finish the fastest? Vaughn, I'll say this. When I
Hmm.
was growing, and I feel very led to say this, when I was growing as God elevated me in ministry, there were so many things I didn't understand, Vaughn. I didn't understand. I was trying to learn how to operate in supernatural wealth and
Hmm.
some of those wealth building principles. And then, I wanted to understand just stirring of spirits. I mean, I wanted to know it. I had a hunger. Okay. And I went through a fast track and accelerated track by getting my hands on every audiobook I could that taught on the subject. And so people often ask me, Vaughn, like, how am I so wise? Why do I have so much wisdom? Is because of my rapid. I mean, I would plow through those audiobooks. I mean, 6 hours on one, bam, done. Next one, what are we gonna do? And I learned so much. I cannot imagine with the lifestyle that I live,
Mm,
how long it would have taken me to get the information. Because sometimes, like, y'all, you could be mentored by reading a book. Like, some of these people, great people, have mentored me and have impressed upon me and have changed my life because I've sat and I've been groomed through audiobooks.
right. Yeah, you can, think about what you can also do on audiobooks is, I have mine kind of at 1.5 speed. Sometimes I'll speed it up to 2. I know people that speed it up to like 2.5. I don't know how they do that at 3. But it's actually, you can consume more because your brain is way faster than what we can compute. We can hear things and our brain translates it. So even if it's at 2 speed and we think it's going too fast, but a 4-hour book is now a 2-hour book, and you can consume it faster, um, and you get used to that. You train your ears to get used to that. And I wanted to say earlier, along with, is think about your, we like to, like I like to listen to audiobooks. I'm an audio person. 20% of the world of people are audio only. You have your kinesthetic people, you have your visual people. Most of the world, the people are visual. Like if you're 50% of the world is like visual. And then where audio people are like 20% of the world, and it's like 30. But I lost my thought. But in listening with audio and consuming it because it's passive, you can consume so much more than you can in reading. You may be a slow reader. When I read, I really like to take my time and read, and I probably overread. And it's going to take me a long time to finish a book, or I stop and write notes and stuff. But while we're consuming, you want to think about your audience. Who is going to be on the receiving end of this? Who do you want to consume your message? I always say your message, your memoir, or your method. You want to teach people, like, you were just saying, Chantel, Chanel, how you were listening through, because you wanted to learn and learn and learn. So you were going through those things, and you can constantly do that. You want to think about who's on the other end of receiving your information or your method or your message. Well, how are they consuming it? How is the industry and the marketplace consuming that? Because you want to reach as many people as possible. And your voice. If people normally, as authors, we're not just authors. We're speakers. We're mentors. We may be coaches. We may be instructors, educators. We're thought leaders. We are authors. We're a very small percentage of people in the world that author something to write, to share, and to instruct. So you want to, how can I make the most impact? And normally we're on stage, or we're on a Zoom, or we're on, leading a live. So people are listening to us. We're influencers. So people listen to us. And when I listen to someone on stage, I'm hearing that it's the voice again, or I'm on a Zoom, it's the voice. So when I want to buy your book, I want to hear your voice on that book, because we have a voice print. That's what I was going to say. We have a voice print.
Ooh, Vaughn, you jumping ahead of a question
I'm
I want
sorry.
to
I'm
ask.
sorry.
It's okay, but we can go into it, and then I'll come back to my next question. Um, but this is Marketing Monday, so we're gonna get into some marketing stuff very quickly. But should the book be read in your voice, or should I go get like an actor? Like, should I don't know. Like, what do you think? What do you think?
All right. This is my thought. I push for you to have your voice. One of my peeves, and this is personal pet peeves, is if I'm going to buy a book from, let's say, TD Jakes. I don't want to have someone else reading his book. I want to have him reading his book. Now, he's someone that writes hundreds of books, and he's not going to read all of his books. That's fine. But if I met you, and Chanel, if I heard you, I've been 5 months on Clubhouse, and I've heard you here, and I've watched your lives, and you say I'm coming out with an audiobook. You have a voice print. Every one of us have a voice print that is as unique as our fingerprint. It ties you in. As soon as I was saying earlier, you didn't hear me speaking until I opened my mouth, and you probably were like, Vaughn, he looks like, okay, he probably sounds like this. As soon as I open my mouth, it's like, oh, he doesn't sound anything like I was imagining, but now I have his voice locked in. So anything I text, anything that I write, you're going to hear my voice. It's your voice print. So now when you say I got an audiobook, I'm looking for all of the pizzazz, the passion, the straightforwardness, the laughs, all your personality is in our voices. All of your passion, your triumph, your victory, the challenges, your failures, all of that is in our voice. It's communicated through our voice, our passion, all of that. So I want to hear that because your message, what's coming to me, I want to hear that in your voice. If I hear someone else, now someone else may be a great actor and sound good, but for nonfiction, it has to be your voice. Now for fiction, get the actors because they're doing the characters, it's not you. But with a message or a method or whatever it is that you're bringing, your memoir, it has to be your voice to me because it's more effective because people are listening and tuning in, and there's it's like this is Chanel. This is so I want to hear from her because I hear from her all the time. But in this audiobook, I want to hear your voice.
Okay, that's a great see. So now, before y'all asked, no one asked it yet, Mom, but I was just waiting for it. I said, "Listen, let me go ahead and ask that question." And I do want to get into just some marketing. Me and you have talked and you've shared, but I would love for you to just share just some ways that once you have your audiobook, the audio book version of your book, what are some ways that they can market? And a lot of our audience, Vaughn, are nonfiction authors, like you mentioned, and they're coaches, right? How many of you are coaches? How many of you have mentorship programs? How many of you are professional speakers? How many of you are consultants? Like you're experts, you're influencers, you're thought leaders. And so let's talk about how basically even investing in getting an audiobook created, how that can really translate into making more money in your brand.
hmm Again, this is the power, and I call it the power and the profit of your voice. I gave an example earlier about one chapter, sending that out to your email list, but also think about designing, part of the package like designing audiogram. So an audiogram, if you don't know, it's like the still squares that are on Instagram or Facebook, and it has the like the voice waves going from. You can make a 60 clip again of a still picture. It could be the cover of your book. It could be a picture of you. It could be both. It can be a scenic video, but it's your voice reading again content from your book, and with a link to hey, my book is here. So instead of doing but you could do the option of, hey everybody, buy my book. My book is out. It's here. You can do that, or you can say, here's a gift of 60 seconds, or here's a link to download the free chapter, and you use that still. And so, because people are going to click to listen, um, people don't look at time when it's audio. They look at time if it's video. If it's over 2 minutes long, I ain't got time to watch that. But you'll click on audio, and it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes long, it could be 20 minutes long, and you'll listen to it, and either start back where we don't think about time when it's audio. So use those audiograms, and it's even though it may say 5 minutes to watch, because it's just audio and I don't have to actively look at something. It's super effective, because it's passive. So audiograms is a marketing tool. Sending out that first chapter is a marketing tool. Again, getting on people's playlists and in their earbuds. They pay they pay full attention. People will, if they don't buy your book, they're going to at least pay attention for that 12 minutes or so that your first chapter is. And if you get people to pay your attention in this day and age where attention is, you only got 8 seconds on a web page to keep people's attention. You only got 60 seconds on a reel or whatever. But if you can give them something where they'll listen to you and get an opportunity to, like, well, I want to hear more. That's it. Wait a minute, I got to get more of that. It's the perfect promotion for your physical book, your ebooks, and your audiobooks. So that's the marketing, is you're using your voice, and push record is what I always say. Push record, get your voice out there.
So of course we want, thank you for sharing that, Vaughn. So of course we want people to go beyond the book, right? So what I'm literally seeing is your y'all's infopreneur empire. Okay. So hear me out. So you got your book, right? You started with your book. Then now you have your digital copy, you have your ebook, because you can do whatever you want, right? Keep making money. It's just you print money with ebooks, okay? Then now you have your audiobook, and your audiobook connects with them in a deeper way so that as they're listening to your audio, they start to feel like they know you. The the creator of Profit First, Mike McCallowitz. I love his method, use his
Mm,
method. And he wrote, I listen on audio, and he reads his own audiobooks. So he did Fix This Next and Profit First. And like, I feel like I know him, like for real.
mm, mm,
It's just because I hear, when I think about anything, I think about him, and his books have literally transformed my finances and transformed my business just from listening to his business books, right? So I want you guys to think of you guys as coaches, consultant, in speaking, the speakers, those of you who wrote books, because you're furthering your brand, right? So now you have your physical book, right? Your print book, you have your ebook, you have your audiobook. And then we created a program here, Vaughn, at Beyond Big Media, called Book to Course. And it's an online
mm.
course where I teach you how to turn your whole book into an online course. So now if you get Book to Course, or if you try to use some other method, but now you have a course, you have an online course, you have a printed book, you have an audio book, and now you also have an ebook from one piece of content. One thing that you dedicated, you sat before God. And now people have so many ways to buy from you, to interact. And now you've turned that one book, which you would have sold for $15, and maybe now you've created a whole program, and maybe it's worth $5,000 now, right? So getting someone to hear your voice, to connect with you, now they're more likely to funnel into your high ticket coaching program, consulting program, whatever, mentorship program, whatever it is that you're selling. They're more likely to book you as a
Yeah.
speaker once they've heard you, right? Because it's one thing to read your book and like, oh, when you come speak and you're like, I don't know if they're gonna talk, but like you said about me, you're expecting all of my pizzazz, and look, I'm the same way everywhere.
Right?
You know what you're gonna get if you invite me to speak. So I think that you guys really need to understand, like, it wasn't just about writing the book. The book was just the first piece, right? Just the first piece. So I do have another question.
Mhm.
Now, for those of you who do not know, Beyond Book Media now offers audiobooks, and I'll share more about that if you're interested in grabbing an audiobook. And you do not have to be published with Beyond Book Media. If you already have a book published somewhere else, we would love to publish this part of your journey, and I'll share more about that a little bit later. But Vaughn, can you talk about just like the process, like if someone's going to DIY it themselves, like
Mhm.
what would be some things that they could do? Because Margot asked, like, how does she even create an audiobook?
Right. Good question. So, we know ultimately you could be in a recording studio, a professional studio, has all equipment and things like that. Um, Recording your voice in a recording studio does not guarantee that you're going to have the quality that's needed for an audiobook. Audiobooks are very distinct, especially to get on Audible, which is it's the most popular, but I could share later this it's not the only one. I thought they were 90% of the market. They're not. They're only 50% of the market. So Amazon Audible is only 50% of the audiobook world. There's 41 other platforms that we get you on. But the process is it is a long one. Every 10,000 words is about an hour of finished. They call it finished per finished hour. So when you find a 4 hour audiobook online in Audible, it's probably like 40,000, around 40,000 words. So that's like the ratio. To get that 4 hours, it would take you about 8 hours to record it, 8 to 12 hours to record it. So this is reading. It's your book. Yes, you wrote it and you went through all the editing, but while you're reading, you may not read something in the way that you want to read. You're going to go back. You're going to make mistakes. So that process takes about twice as long. And then the editing of that takes 3 times that amount. So it may be 30, 40 hours of editing. But for you, for the process of recording it, um, a recording studio is quiet. But if you have a walk in closet and all those clothes, there's no echo in a walk-in closet. It is the perfect home studio environment. Even if you're in front of a closet and you're speaking into the clothes, it doesn't have to be all surround sound of clothes. But if you're speaking into clothes, it takes the echo and deadens the sound, and that's what you want is a pure sound coming from your mouth to the microphone and not hearing any kind of reflections. So you can record at home, like I said, maybe 2 hours at a time, 2 to 3 hours at a time, because your voice does get tired. Um, and you may do it the next day, continue, chapters 5 to 10. So recording is somewhat the easy part because you're reading the book, and then from there, all everything else that follows afterward, the editing and what you need to meet the specs that's required for audiobooks. That's where the trickiness comes in, where you want to make sure that your lip smacks are taken out. If you have heavy breaths in between every sentence that you're doing, you want to make sure that that's clean, because in the person's ear, that's distracting. You want to make sure there's no dog barking or the air conditioner sound and all of that stuff. Then, so that's where the deep part of like the editing is really the process. I have what I call Photoshop for audio, where we're able to take out all of those sirens, kids in the back, dogs barking, whatever it is. You don't want to wear jewelry, um, things like that. So to get the purest of sound, but that's the process is that recording, then the polishing and the editing, and then making it specs, that what we call the mastering, to get it accepted into Audible. Because Audible will not even accept it. It has to be certain levels, has to be all these things that you can do. It's just that if you're not used to doing that, it's going to take you a lot of study and a lot of trial and error. But that's the process.
So that's good. That's good. Okay, so my next question that we have is when you are doing your let me take a step because I'm about to ask this, do you want to read it word for word? But I want to address this. So
Mm.
um we get a kind of question that says, who will do the editing if you're doing it yourself? So if you end up partnering with Beyond the Book Media, you do read your own book and we do the editing for you. We coach you through how you're supposed to read your book. We tell you what type of equipment you're supposed to get so that you can have the best quality service. That is if you end up partnering with Beyond the Book Media to help you release your audiobook. And I'll tell you, we do a whole, it's a whole package. So you get way more than just us just doing your audiobook and saying, here you go. We actually help you
Yeah.
publish it as well. So it's our second level of our publishing packages. But I'm assuming you're asking like, how can you edit it if you're DIYing it? I think Shakatrice is asking that. And Vaughn, if you have a question, if you have an answer to that, I would love for you to
Sure.
answer that.
Sure. You can edit it yourself. There's a free program called Audacity. That is a recording and editing program. It's free. I can't remember the site, but you look up Audacity anyway. But you can record, and you can go through and take out different things. Um, but be advised that while you're editing yourself, if you're not used to editing things, you may. It's one thing to like edit like podcasts. You can get away with a lot of stuff. Like podcast doesn't have like a regimen of like clean sound. It doesn't have a regimen of ums and ahs. It doesn't have any. You can upload anything from your phone basically and do that. Audiobooks is totally different. And if you want to edit yourself, you can go in there and say you repeat a sentence with two thes, or and you want to cut that the out and put things together, which you can do that. The thing about editing yourself is that you may not be able to hear your flow and how it would sound natural. So you can edit things and it sounds unnatural. So it'd be like, really quick, or too much space in between. It's like, why is she not talking for, there's a difference between 1 second and 1.5 second gap in a rest period. Like if I didn't say something with too much space in the middle, it's gonna be like what you're like. So you're editing yourself. Um, Editors, know how to make the flow of the voice as if you just did it in one take and you're on stage. So you want to. That's the danger of that. Um,
So that's good. I'm glad you brought that up. And that's just not saying to discourage you, but I think he just gave you some things to look out for, right? Because I
Yeah.
wouldn't even thought about that. And if you have too many long pauses, you're going to lose your listener and they're immediately going to check out. I mean, it reminds me, Vaughn, my husband does audio engineering on the side. He's really good at it. And
Right.
because I've been married to him for 11 years, I've developed an ear for audio. So I can go into, especially live audio. I
Hmm.
can hear everything. Like it, I cannot unhear it now.
Yep.
So where everyone else is like, fine, I'm like, do y'all hear that? When I do live stuff, I'm like, do y'all hear that? Da, da, da. And then even when we're on Clubhouse Vine, and myself or some of my team members or people come up and speak, I have to like restrain myself. I'm like, oh, they're smacking.
Yeah.
Do you
Right.
hear yourself smacking? Like it's so distracting. Those
Yes.
things are distracting. And so the thing why you just don't want to just, okay, I'm just gonna read my I got a microphone. I'm just gonna read my book is because like you don't hear that you're like all of these extra noises, there's a
Hmm. Yes.
bzzz, because you always hear that. Like there's a buzz here, there's a buzz here that I've gotten used to. So all of those things are just really good to think about. And if you are gonna edit yourself, I want you the same way you would do what I tell my clients that publish with us. Go get somebody else to listen to that thing and to ask them to listen actively so that they can give you feedback. So I wanted to kind of give those nuggets because you can do it.
Hmm.
You can definitely do it yourself. It's just it's what where it's where are you in your brand. So I want to say this, like if you, I don't know if any of you guys sell premium coaching packages or you serve premium clients, right? And when you present yourself as someone who has luxury services, premium clients, premium clientele, or you're moving towards that, you want everything that you produce to be at that level. Um, as a side, like my husband, he's real big on audio visual. So like even the camera that I'm using right now, like my husband was like, "No, you're a media company." The microphone that I'm using right now, so that you guys see the tools that I use, it's because there's a certain standard that I have to operate in order to bring everyone else up to the same standard. So you want to make sure that everything that you're producing is at that standard. Vaughn, did you have anything you want to share? Because I do want to share about how they can work with us.
Sure.
And but I wanted to give you another moment to drop any more nuggets because I know some of you are like, okay, well, how do I do this? Right? I'm ready.
Let's go. There was a question I think from Margot that I wanted to. She made a point, and I wanted to just touch that really quick. She said she doesn't like my voice. I don't like my voice, but it makes sense that it should be my voice. And let me speak to why we do not originally like our voices. You know, when we're born, and and we're talking for all of these years, and it's not until you push record and you hear your voice back and you're like, ugh, I don't like how I sound. If you may make your own voicemail, and hey, I'm not here, call me back, and you may have done it like 20 times, like, I don't like how I said that, I don't like how I said that. We don't like how we sound because what we mostly hear is most of the we are all the resonating things in our sinus cavities, our chest, and all we hear is mostly womp 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 womp. That's mostly what we hear. Everybody else, I say that's the inside the speaker sound. Everybody else hears what's coming outside the speaker, all the clear T's and the S's, and everything is all clarity. So we don't know until we hear it record. It's like, I don't like how I sound, because you never really heard yourself until it's been recorded and played back. But we have to get used to it. Everybody else loves your voice. Everybody, again, that's that voice print. But we don't hear our voice print until we play back recorded, and until we can get comfortable and used to. Like, I love accents. It doesn't matter where you're from. Like, I mean, it could be a foreign country. It can be from the South. It could be New York. It can be, it could be you have a country twang. Or, accents to me is like, I don't care what you say. Just keep talking, because it's so interesting, because it's different. It's and people will. I don't want to talk because I have this accent, and I don't want to. No, accent is a part of your voice print. It's part of where you are, where you grew up, or what your environment, and it's part of your message, because all of that is cultivated. So I wanted to speak to that about I don't like my voice. We don't really like our own voice. We're like, we still, People say, "Oh, you got a really great voice, Vaughn." I'm like, "Really? Okay." I think I sometimes I talk too slow, or I'm kind of nasally, or I'm high pitched, or but people love it. So accept that, unless someone is, and no one will really say that, but if someone's saying, no one's going to tell you in your face that they don't like your voice. They're just going to stop listening to you. So as long as people are listening to you and they're smiling while they're doing it and they want you to talk more, they love your voice, even though we don't. So I just want to encourage us in that. Use your voice.
That's so good. Real quick, before I talk about how you can get your audiobook produced with Beyond Book Media, um, Phyllis asked, ask the question, do you read word for word? So I did want
Oh,
to make sure we answer that.
great question. Um, Here's a great thing about audiobooks too. You do read for word, but you have total flexibility to add. Some I don't know, some audiobooks that I listen to, they're like, you know what, this isn't written in the book, but I want to give you this extra point. You can some things that are written don't sound, they don't read well in speaking it. So you may change your adjust. You know what, that doesn't sound right if I say it. It sounds right reading it, but not saying it. So you can adjust. You have total flexibility to engage your listener, to add things. I had one person. I don't recommend this, but he was a Navy. He did like 10 triathlons while he was 60. Anyway, he had all of these stories that his editor cut out of the book. Right? You know how editors, he goes, well, I want to talk about this story, and it was great stuff, great content, but it added like 5, 6, no, it was more like 7 hours to his audiobook. It was good stuff, but I didn't realize it because he's like, oh, I'm going to add this. And by the time we were done recording, it was an 18-hour book, and it was supposed to be a 5-hour book. And so you can add content, and you can even put on there, bonus material. You may be reading your audiobook, and you may want to have a bonus chapter, so to speak, that's like, you know what, this isn't in the book, but this is exclusive for the audiobook. And I want to talk about this subject because time has passed. Maybe you're relaunching. So I hope that answers the question. Yeah, audiobooks, you have a lot of flexibility to make it even more engaging because you are in their earbud, you are talking with them, you are one on one with them. They're learning from you. Um, so you have liberty, so you don't have to feel restricted, but you don't have, at the same time, you don't want to go all the way writing a whole nother book in your audio.
Well, that was good. So hopefully that answered your question, Phyllis. Now let's talk about audiobook production with Beyond the Book Media
Yeah.
and what that includes. Okay. So we have an audiobook service for books. Okay. And what we do is we will do a recording environment assessment. So we'll help you set up a USB microphone. We'll talk about downloading and going over your free recording software. We'll walk through settings, levels, mic distance, and just all the tech stuff that you need. So basically, we're going to show you how to produce the best audio quality on the first try. So you won't be sitting up here trying to figure out like, well, how do I, no, we're going to do that. And our team is going to guide you through that, Yvonne. And then also we are going to do distribution for you. So, Vaughn talked about that there was more than one audiobook distribution place. So we're going to distribute you to All Sound, also then Find Away Voices, and then of course then Audible. So your audiobook will be distributed on those platforms, and of course you will get your actual audio file as well. And then we also will design 4 to 6 audiograms with reading clips for the chapters for marketing. So this is perfect for those of you who haven't launched yet and you want to launch with the audio version. We can do that for you. And those of you who are looking to relaunch, y'all, we have a whole launch, a boot camp, a free boot camp this coming up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, where we're focusing on launching or relaunching your book. And so what we're doing is we are offering 10% off for the next 24 hours. So 10% off. So if you would like to be a part of that, if you're interested, come on. Okay, so I see, look, we got holla at your girl, says she's interested. This is what I need you to do. I need you to, let me see. And my computer is acting really, really. I'm trying to, let me see if I'm going to have you email me. Actually, Look, I'm gonna drop the link. If you are interested, here, let me see if it'll let me drop this link. I'm gonna drop the link here. You can go ahead and check it out. I just dropped the link if you want to grab that. And then also here is the, let me get you the discount code, the 10% off. It will expire, y'all. It's going to expire in
Yes,
24 hours. This is a promo that we are doing just as we announced the partnership. So if you're looking for it to be cheaper, go. It's not gonna happen. So I just dropped the link, and I will make sure to edit it in our Facebook groups and in our YouTube page so that you can take advantage of that. But you have 24 hours. So what does that mean? Tomorrow night, when we wrap up our first session of Launch Your Book Boot Camp, okay, of Launch Your Book Boot Camp, then that means the discount code is going to expire. All right. So, but once you sign up, our team will immediately get you onboarded. We've been meeting together to make the process seamless for you. We are ready to produce those books. So I got room for 5 of y'all. I got room for 5 of y'all to come on board at this discounted rate with this 10. It's not showing up on Facebook. It's okay. Hold on. I'm going to Facebook. Look, see, look, I'm telling y'all, my keyboard is acting kind of wonky, so we're gonna get it. But really quickly, we have like 6 minutes because I try to not make these too long. If you have any question or comment, if you can go ahead and drop it as I drop the link for you guys over here on Facebook land.
so good.
Let me see. I'm gonna see if it'll let me. Let's paste this. No. Vaughn, do you see any questions in there coming through as I look? I can't. I
I'm
got
looking
two screens.
through, yeah.
Huh?
I'm looking through. Oh, yeah, we answered some of those. Read it word for word. I love hearing the author's voice. Yes, you do have a voice print. Yeah, I want to encourage you that all of those is cool and see those that are going to be coming through and getting that promo. That is going to be a good.
Yes. Okay. So I just dropped the link in Facebook, and then I dropped the code is audiobook promo, just all one word, and you guys can use that. We have it for the next 24 hours. Okay. So that means if you heard this and you're convinced, I know some of our Beyond the Book Media clients. You're on here and you've already been working with us, and you're like, look, now another thing. Yes, listen. You should always be
Gonna help.
investing in your book and your brand. So I want you to think about this as an investment. So remember what we talked about. Now you just made your $15 book, your $20 book. You've automatically doubled it. So think about the launch package that you can offer, the bundle. People will pay $47 for a book, ebook, and audiobook. And then let's not talk about workbooks. You know what? Maybe I'll talk about workbooks next Monday. Okay. Let's not talk about adding your workbook and then adding your course. Now you have 5 products that came straight from your brain, straight from heaven, that is like crazy to me. So well, I don't see any questions that are coming through. I'll make sure to post this on our YouTube and on our Facebook. But I want to say thank you so much, Vaughn. Any final words before we end Marketing Monday?
Yes, one. We're all on a voice journey. That's going to be the title of my book. Is like your voice journey, where you're at. You've already talked to thousands of people. Who's next to impact? And there was one thing I think Lisa wrote here that says people they're asking your most biggest question when you say that you have a book. Your biggest question, most frequent question is like, "Ooh, great! Is it on Audible yet?" That's going to be you're going to from this day out, you're going to start hearing that people are going to be asking you. I can't wait till your book comes out on audio because that's where it's going to. So I just want to encourage you to use that tool that is going to help, and you want to be in the ear and the playlist of your listeners and of your readers. I just want to encourage that. Not biased in any way. That's just the way that where we're at, and I want people to hear you. People want to listen to you. You want to grab their ears and get your message out because they need to hear. They need to be encouraged by you. They need to know whatever it is that God's gifted you with to share, being able to share your voice from one to many instead of just on a stage or just in a Zoom. But if they can hear you on call at their, I want to listen to my audiobook at 2 in the morning, so I can't wait to hear Lisa. You know, that's the time when I want to listen to what she has in her book. You never know what time people are going to want to listen to you at their pace and at their control and at their time. So make it available for them because they're definitely wanting to push play.
Well, this was so great. I pray you guys learned something and that you guys were empowered and impacted because y'all know what we do over here. We want you to make more growing influence to ultimately make more income. Don't forget, we have a 3-day boot camp called Launch Your Book. It's starting tomorrow. It's from 7 p.m. and we're going to be inside of our Facebook group. So you'll be back here tomorrow night at 7. For those of you who got VIP, you get to meet me and my amazing speakers on Zoom for a small upgrade, but I'm excited. Tons of you have already upgraded. So I'm looking forward to pouring into you guys and helping you create your launch strategy to launch your book. So if you have not registered for that free, it's free. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain for a strategy on how to launch or even relaunch. If you launched your book and you didn't get the sales that you wanted, it's probably time for you to relaunch. All right. So go ahead and invite a friend. You can join that at yourbrandneedsabook.com. With that being said, thank you so much, Vaughn, for your time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we'll see some of you guys invest in those marketing packages. Have a good evening or afternoon. Bye.
All right. Thank you.